Let's talk about Teams. Now a new session with you, Michael, and today we're going to talk about the layout in the meeting rooms.
Yes, and the layout is about furniture, planning your meeting space. Are you renting the building? What could you do, etc.
So where should we start? I mean, one of the things that we talked about a bit earlier was that depending on if you own the building compared to if you rent in the building, what kind of options do you have and what would make sense?
Today I have seen different stuff with different clients, and some clients have some movable walls from companies like Dancing Walls, where they have the possibilities to put in screens, and it's also have acoustic materials around it, whiteboards, etc. And it's movable, so you don't hinge anything on the wall. It's more or less a finished product. You just need power and a network cable. But if you have the meeting room, you can just put something like this inside, right? And you don't need to put any other things into the room.
Yeah, so this is kind of where people probably know them as a phone booth.
Yeah.
But it now also comes in different sizes, so it's not only for a single person.
No.
There is different sizes out there in the market right now, so you can go it up to maybe six
people, yeah. There's Framery have done something really nice and clever, but I have also seen Mutebox, a Danish brand. They made one for four persons. Yeah. But some of the things these manufacturers are actually thinking about is light, is ventilations, etc. So they take all this difficult stuff that we need to talk about with facility about into this small space and make it easy. So it's only gonna need power and a network cable for the MTR systems inside, for instance. Yeah. And it's really, really good because you can actually tear it apart again and put it up somewhere else. You don't have to repaint the building or make a carpenter come out and do stuff, etc. No, you have this box. Yes, it's not movable as is just straight away, but you can tear it apart and put it back together if you're going to move to another building or purchase a building somewhere.
So I would often also say that this is a quick fix for getting a new meeting room as fast as possible. So we talked a bit about, should we create a meeting room here? What was needed? That we needed someone to build the glass walls and etc. And I think also the small boxes or a meeting room in a box or whatever we should call it is simple for the people that lives in a building where they're not allowed to mount anything.
Yes. They don't have to ask that many people to put it up. Of course, there's fire environment. You need to have a fireway running, etc. But you can easily fit this box into many places. And today I see that more often there's only 2 or 3 people in a really large meeting rooms, and maybe it will make sense to make smaller meeting rooms and have stuff like this in. It's fairly easy to install, basically.
Yeah. So you could kind of take whichever brand of a box that you want, which fits your design or size.
Exactly.
And then take whichever products that you would need into that box and then install that kind of equipment.
Yeah, and the best thing is actually you're actually able to put it into an open space office, because it's also acoustic controlled, so speech from the room will not go outside, and also speech outside will not go inside. So you don't have to make that bigger changes in the building to adopt more meeting rooms, smaller rooms, etc. It could also just be a phone booth, let's call it that, where you have one person inside that could have a meeting, but still make it with a MTR system inside, so it's bookable and it's fairly easy to use, and you have a booking panel outside maybe, so you can see if it's in use or not. It will just make sense, and that's some of the stuff we see there's really high demand on. Also in the public area, where I see universities have these library halls where people actually need to talk together as well. So they put stuff like this inside, right? So it's all this coming. I think it will be furnitures, etc. How we're gonna turn everything around. Maybe we're gonna have a bean-sized table, so it's more like towards like a cone size. So you will sit. You have a wider table next to the screen, but a smaller table at the other end, so you will be able to face the cameras, all of us. That's.
Yeah, so I think that the area that we have been working in for quite a while, like AV, IT, meeting space, that is now getting more into the furnitures as well?
Yes, it will definitely be where people is looking for the future, I think. And I've seen a lot of places where HR is also involved, because it's they also need to be into this, because it needs to be something people could care about, and they feel that they have it's nice to be in there, because it really, it's all about how is the feeling being in a meeting in that space, right? And they actually pretty good, these boxes to do and enclose everybody, and so.
So that's one point of it. So another point is that if you already have a meeting room, what kind of furniture should you put inside that meeting room? And you would probably say one size doesn't fit all, and I totally agree with that. But is there any recommendations that we could?
For me, I see that many people would like some huddle spaces, actually. And a huddle space is a high table. Always high table. I kind of hate where you make a huddle space where you have a table where it's low and everything, because huddle rooms for me is more like instant meeting. Go in there, we take a meeting, snap, go out again.
Yeah.
I will have a standing meeting.
Yeah.
But that's huddle, and then you have the small meeting rooms, 4 to 8 persons, maybe 6. 8 is probably medium. A room like that, turn the table around. Maybe a 4-person room, twist the table so it's it's the other way around in the meeting, and you facing the audience you have on the screen, right? So that's some of it, and maybe I say maybe you already know how your meeting spaces run today, based on the Teams admin center, whatever management thing you have, monitoring system for your meeting rooms. You can maybe see that, okay, we are not using the 20-person plus meeting rooms that often. Let's do more smaller meeting rooms. So let's say we have these 4-person meeting rooms where we are facing towards the video content. That will actually make sense, because occasionally there's 1 or 2 persons in a meeting, in a meeting room, and it will just be much more efficient for them to face the person they're speaking with, and they have the presentation in front of them. They don't have to move around. And again, it's more about the meeting room itself, and then we also need these cozy areas around in the building. Otherwise, we will be it would just be labor, all of it. We need to have this where we feel free, we can sit down, etc., and do different kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So I think it's like, I was once at Microsoft doing a speak there, and we talked about, we all work in beta right now.
Yeah.
Not even Microsoft have the golden way of working. So we need to get started. And then we also need to be able to rework the places that we have done. So I kind of like the space that we were in last time, where we sat in the couch. I lost the mic.
Yes, you did.
Hopefully it's back again.
Yes.
So yeah, I kind of like that space for some meetings, but from other meetings I would like to more be like in a normal meeting table.
But we also see that we have some workshop meetings, maybe some innovation lab things where we have, let's say, a Surface Hub on the wall next to Teams room systems, where we will be able to bring in whiteboarding and stuff like that. So there will be different types of rooms, for sure.
Yeah,
that's really for the future. But I think we will see those innovation rooms, workshop rooms will be a larger room. Still don't fit more than 8 people, maybe. And then we have all these smaller rooms. And of course, we also have this big town hall stuff, and there's plenty of room for that in an auditorium or in cantina or whatever. But for the regular meeting rooms, it will be 80% of them will be 4 to 6 person rooms.
Yeah. So as you know, I've been working quite a lot with Surface Up.
Yeah.
And I remember back in the days when we started working with Surface Up that there was a company that talked so much about the height of the chair. And if the chair was a bit higher like we have now, then it was easier to stand up during the meeting, which meant that people was easier to get up to the Surface Up and start working.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually a really nice thing.
Because it's a valid point.
Yeah. Then it becomes easier for people to... I mean, it's not that far, but basically it means that people get easier up to the whiteboard. And I think, like you talked before with meeting rooms or the Teams rooms in coordinated meeting with the Surface Up, or even the Teams rooms right now, as you can start the whiteboard from the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you have a touchscreen in the front of the room, you can walk up to the whiteboard and start inking. And in those meeting rooms where you're basically more like collaborating with each other, it might make sense to have higher chairs.
Yeah, and a traditional room, right, where you need to pull the chair out, go around the table before you can enter it. An 8 to 12 person room with that in would just be not as efficient as a smaller room with a whiteboard in, if you ask me, right? So, and if I'm speaking whiteboard, I don't believe in this traditional whiteboarding thing. I believe in the digital way of doing it, and I think that will be more or less the future going forward.
Yeah. So, you kind of said it like with the digital whiteboard, we get everything digital within the meeting, which means that we can see the content so much better, and we can save the content.
And we can collaborate. So it's much easier going that direction than having the static whiteboard, a content camera. Of course, sometimes it makes sense, but I have a better way of doing it using the digital. It's just...
It might also be a bit with the generation, because I still hear some people that are really fond of the analog whiteboard.
Yeah.
So that's still an option on the Teams rooms. It can also be an option in collaboration with the digital whiteboard, but
what I've seen today on today's market with whiteboards, where we have the Teams, what's it called, the Teams boards on Android, and the Surface Hub as well. They're all easily and doable for whiteboarding, and it's just straight out of the box. There is some lack of power. It's not all Surface Hub meetings, because the Surface Hub is just unique and one of a kind, but they are doable, and it's really, really nice to have a whiteboard in a meeting room.
Yeah, so I think it's still fair to say that the Surface Hub is a unique device. It's one of a kind. You will not get the same experience on a Teams rooms. But then again, if you don't use all the features that the Surface Hub have, and you just want the whiteboard option into the meeting, then a Teams room would do pretty good.
It will do awesome. And I've been running it both on Windows and Android. There's pros and cons on both of them, but it's working flawlessly on both of them. So
great. So let's wrap up this session with a short summary of this session. Go ahead, Michael.
Furnitures, always think about it. Think about the layout of the room, how we would face the people we're talking to, because I don't turn my head around if I'm talking to a stranger on the street, right? High tables, if you have something where you need to collaborate on a whiteboard, do a high table where you can stand up and move easy from. Something we didn't talked about, but audio as well. Make sure you cover the whole room with the microphones, because if you have something where you can stand up, make sure that everything's get into it. These boxes, I will see them for the long run as well, but if you easily need a room, then these small boxes will be pretty easy to adapt into every building, actually. So
great wrap up. So thanks for watching, and please follow us if you want to hear more about this. We are going to do a series of these kind of short videos, and well, thanks for watching.
Yeah.